prepare for trouble.
And make it double.
Because we've got double the episodes this week.
Double trouble.
Double the content.
It's a lot of shit.
Yeah. Half the banter.
Half the banter.
Because we doubled the content.
Welcome to the Protagonist seat, fall 2019.
It's the beginning of something beautiful.
I'm holding a pumpkin spice latte right now.
I am a pumpkin. I just am one now.
Let's grind them up, make them spice.
No! Spice.
Spice.
I will retreat to the one place that has not been tainted by pumpkin spice.
I will go to the one place not corrupted by capitalism. Spice.
Man, that's a good game.
This is a podcast where we talk about anime, specifically seasonal anime.
And this is the season.
If you've been here, like all 21 of you, you know the rules. If you're new here, what we do, we take 10 shows, specifically like this time 8 because we're already watching 2.
Yeah, so 2 are carried over from last season.
But yeah, we watch a bunch of new shit and we talk about it every week. Except this week we kind of gotta go like lightning fast because this is a lot to talk about.
Welcome to the Protagonist seat lightning round.
The lightning round.
All right, let's go, Dr. Stone. All right, to do some stuff and then they put the thing on.
Fire Force. All right, now new shit. Fake Red Order as mobile game. Did you get Merlin? I didn't get Merlin.
Fake Go. It's a mobile game. Fuck it. Don't worry about it.
Moving on.
We should start with Fire Force though.
Yeah,
we should.
Fire Force, which is finally back. Yeah. Oh, so we're gonna start on the old shit. If you're new here and you don't care about anything from last season, skip ahead to FGO, which is gonna be the first new one we're gonna be talking about.
Insert timestamp here.
I'm not gonna insert the timestamp.
It's
so much work. Just drag the little slider until the picture changes.
You know what? That's a good metric.
I also don't think that works if we're on anything other than YouTube. So if you're listening to this on like Spotify, then
no timestamps on Spotify.
We'll do like a little screech when it's like time to like just listen for the screech.
Listen for our terrible pterodactyl screech.
We're not gonna do that, no. But
but that would be a recurring bit. It would be a callback.
It would. Yeah.
People love the callbacks.
People do love callbacks, but people also love Fire Force, or I think tolerate it. A couple of people are cool with it.
I like Fire Force.
This was a good I'm always looking for, I don't know why, for some reason I'm always looking for a reason to like get rid of Fire Force, but every week it's like, nah, this is still okay.
It's tenuous. It lives in our list in a tenuous grasp.
So where we left off, which feels like a long time ago,
we did have a hiatus.
We meet Benny.
Yeah,
who's like the commander of the 7th, and we learn a little bit more about him. We learn about his buddy who can't do any pyrotechnics anymore because it hurts him.
Turns out when you push yourself too far with your fire powers, you start to literally incinerate your body.
And he ends up, he starts to like the 8th because they stay and help out with all the repairs.
And they're kind of endearing.
And obviously
especially Maki.
Yeah. The Evangelists decide to fuck everything up because they have an evil plan.
Because we're evil.
But yeah, I actually laughed at this part where he's walking and in an alleyway, because he gets told by Shinra, like, hey, my captain wants to go talk with you. And he's like, okay.
He's in the alley across the street.
And he goes over there and he hears, yes, I'm so glad that we turned that guy into an infernal. I really love turning people into infernals, don't you?
Let's discuss our plan to turn more people into infernals.
Turning people into infernals is great. Don't you enjoy turning people into infernals?
You know what? It's a little on the nose.
Yeah, but he immediately gets really mad and decides to go and kill Captain Obi.
Because of course he does.
And yeah, so he starts attacking them, and he won't listen to reason because he only respects strength. He's like, if you want me to listen to you, you have to beat me.
Thinking about it, there's 2 instances of that back-to-back this week.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
Actually, not back-to-back because we have Dr. Stone in between, but they do that in Fake Grand Order.
It is not back-to-back.
But,
yeah, it's not necessarily back-to-back.
But still, 2 instances of that this week, and basically the captain goes and he kicks the shit out of the 8th. And then Captain Obi comes out in his armor.
And we found out something that I kind of already knew, but this kind of confirmed it. Captain Obi has no powers.
Yeah.
He's just a guy.
I think he says that at the beginning. He's like, I'm not a pyrotechnic or whatever. I am strong.
He mentions it too in the fight. He's like, you're not canceling my flame. And he's like, I can't do that.
Yeah. I don't have any. Don't worry, guys. I don't have magic powers. And he basically just, like, fights a man who can shoot fire at him.
But he uses all his gadgets because he's the Batman of this group.
Yeah. And he's just super jacked, so it's fine.
We gave him Best Boy Award for last season, and this has only solidified that was a good decision.
Yeah, he definitely would have won it if he didn't win last season.
Yeah, but wounded guy from the 7th gets involved, and he's just like, hey, Benny, you should listen to him. And he's like, fine, out of respect for you, I will do that.
And he does.
And
kind of.
We get to that next week.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Basically, he's like, I don't believe that you guys went to the grocery store, but I'm going to go ask the people at the grocery store. Wait here.
Yeah, because it turns out the evangelist guys can shapeshift.
I guess so. I guess so.
Convenient for them.
Yes, it certainly is. Dr. Stone.
Dr. Stone. We have 2 episodes to talk about for this, which thankfully they kind of blend into like one big episode.
Yeah.
So the tournament. It's finally time for the tournament. It's not really a tournament arc. It's like tournament.
It's the tournament.
It's the tournament episode.
The tournament.
Yeah, it's the tournament episode or episodes. It's like 3.
Yeah. Basically, the tournament happens.
Yeah. So last time we stopped where Kinro got kind of sidelined by Maga because he tricked him into going to ask the ref because he knows he's a goody two shoes, and they hit him in the back of the head. And
then it's Kinro's time to fight. Ginro. It's Ginro's time to shine.
Yeah, and he fights the who does he fight again?
He fights the shitty little dude first.
No, that's who Chrome fights.
Chrome fights him.
And he throws.
Yeah, because we'll get to that.
I don't even remember Ginro's thing.
Ginro's
like that's later.
Ginro fights just like a guy, just an unnamed strong man.
Yeah,
and he's all jacked up on coke.
Yeah, but that's not important because we are on a tight schedule here. So who cares about Ginro? Chrome fights Magma.
And basically, he tries to stall so that
he uses his own sweat, which dripped onto the lens of the glasses helmet,
making it from a concave lens to a convex lens.
Yeah, he's basically trying to use it as like a magnifying glass to set fire to the dude's clothing.
And he does.
Yeah, but they need to stall. And
it takes 60 seconds.
Yeah, and that works. Senku does all the math for that in his head.
Because of course he does. He's a genius.
And then Gen shows up, and Gen basically bluffs to buy time, where he's like, ooh, I put a curse on you, where if you move, your heart will explode. And he's like, ref, he can't do that. And they're like, well, he might just be bluffing, so...
Yeah, we can't prove it unless you move and your heart explodes. And he's like, I can only hold it for 60 seconds.
Conveniently the amount of time that you need.
Yes. I believe that was also a message to Chrome, like, hey, this is how long that'll take. And then they do it. They do the thing.
And then he catches on fire, he freaks out, and then they hit him in the nuts, and he falls off into the water.
Yeah, GG, no rate. And then it's time to keep fighting.
It's secured. One of them is going to win, and then Ginro becomes super scummy, because he can't read between the lines, where he's like, hey, Priestess, I know you're super happy that Chrome's going to win. And she's like, no, I'm not happy at all.
I can't pick favorites.
Yeah, I'm impartial. And he's like, wait, that means she doesn't care. That means I can win, and I can be the village chief.
And literally everyone is like, Ginro can't be the village chief. He can't. We can't let this happen.
Someone's gonna stop that scumbag. And then Senku wins by essentially making like a seesaw with his the helmet and his polearm and just hitting him in the nuts with it.
Yeah, because he knows how levers work. Applying a minimal amount of force on one end of the lever applies more force on the other end.
Yeah, so he hits Ginro in the nuts, and
Very
then after
hard.
it's just supposed to be him and Chrome, and he was planning on throwing, but Chrome passes out from his injuries in his fight.
Yep, Chrome pushed himself a little too far. So Senku wins.
And he is now the village chief.
Congrats, Senku, you get to marry the priestess.
And everyone's like, all right, cool, we got a party and stuff, but he doesn't have time because it looks like...
She's dying.
Yeah, she is dying, so he needs to finish it instantly. And they're like, come on, it's your wedding day, we got to celebrate. He's like, oh, then I'm getting divorced.
Then I want a divorce.
And then he runs away with all the sake and, like, vinegar that they stole.
Yeah. And then they pretty much just speed make the sulfa drug.
Yep, and then they give it to her, and then they freak out because it looks like she's gotten worse. Because at first his fear is that she has tuberculosis, which you need.
You can't fight that with the sulfa drug.
Yeah, you need something a lot more powerful for tuberculosis.
Fun fact.
For the TB, Arthur.
Fun fact, tuberculosis, also known as consumption, is what people thought it was a vampire epidemic because the symptoms of a tuberculosis patient were similar to that of their colloquial name for the vampire. So if you had consumption, they thought that you were literally being consumed, and in order to fight that off, you had to drink the blood of others. There's a little historical fact around the Civil War era. That's what people thought.
Wait, this was Civil War? Like I was for a second thinking like, oh, this is probably some like Victorian era European thing.
No, I mean it was, but that stuck around for a long time. That was a thing that happened in America, in the United States.
Goddamn American vampires.
Yeah. But there's a genuine tense moment where everyone runs in and Senku's like, she could get worse. But
then he realizes it's pneumonia.
It's pneumonia.
And the drug actually does fight pneumonia.
It might take some time now, but there's a yuck percent that she will recover.
And they realize the fact that she lived to 18 is miraculous.
Yeah.
And it's all because of the hot water baths that her sister has been bringing her.
Keeping warm and clean was keeping her alive. So good job. Good job, Kohaku. Good job, Senku. You guys, you did it.
And at the end of the episode, she's able to run around freely. And she can run really fast, turns out.
But she's wearing a dress that's pretty constrictive, so it's more like a very quick shuffle.
Yeah, she can shuffle very fast. And then the dad sees this, and he's like so happy that his daughter's able to move again. So
everyone cries.
Yeah, he accepts Senku as the new village chief.
And then we get some freaking cliffhanger drops where the priestess is like, I know your name.
Senku Ishigami. Because this is Ishigami Village.
Yeah.
And I want to know what that means.
I think early fan theory going on. I think his dad is related.
Yeah, because the ending now, stuff shows his dad a lot more now.
Yeah.
So it's got to be related to Poppy.
The ending is very heavily related to his dad. So I think there's going to be a quest for daddy.
A quest for daddy.
A quest for daddy.
Okay. Old shit out of the way. Now we are talking about brand new shows.
And we'll start with a phone game.
Yeah, which you knew we put this one first because you knew this one was coming. We talk about Fate shit all the time on this show.
I'm pretty sure we even talked about this show coming up last season.
Yeah, so all the new stuff, that's going to be, a surprise. This one's not a surprise. Also, because this is an adaptation of Part 7 of a phone game that really kind of just skips over everything else, and it spoils the movies that aren't even out yet.
Yeah.
Like, you already know that Mosh's heroic spirit is Galahad.
Yep.
So, we are not going to really care about spoilers for this one.
It's already all out. It doesn't make that big of a difference.
The episode 0 that came out a couple weeks ago kind of already foreshadows Romani being Solomon.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Romani, yeah, spoiler alert, Romani is Solomon.
But I don't think they're going to animate Solomon, so...
No, which will be a little disappointing, but that's fine.
I mean, all it is just you fight god pillars and everyone shows up.
Yeah.
So...
I don't know. I like moments like that.
Yeah, it's like the climactic ending, but
yeah,
it's fine.
Actually, it wouldn't be the same without all the lead up to it.
Yeah,
but basically,
I really don't want a Septum anime.
Yeah, I don't either. I'm good. I don't want Septem or even France.
Yeah, even France wasn't that good. The best parts of it are Mozart and Marie.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Yeah, it's not great. But basically the idea is they need to stop the Holy Grail from fucking up this one period. So they need to go get it.
Yeah. And again, we are talking about this show with the pretense that you already know what's going on.
Yep.
So yeah, it's Babylonia this time. That's fixing this one.
They go back to Uruk, or at least they try.
Yeah, they get thrown off course, and it starts out they're further away than they intended to be because it turns out the city has an actual barrier around it.
Yeah. So they start falling from the sky, as most good stories do.
Yeah, and Mosh protects them by using her noble phantasm.
Which looks really cool.
Yeah, it does look cool animated.
It does. And then they fight some monsters, and then Ishtar shows up.
Yeah,
and
this
she
would be the
fights
part.
some monsters.
This would be the part in the game where it'd be like, "Hey, 3 individual missions of just fighting waves of beasts."
Yeah,
and then a story thing happens.
But instead, we get a very cool animated scene where Mosh fights things, and then we get a somewhat okay animated scene of Ishtar fighting things.
Yeah, and then Ishtar leaves, and then Enkidu shows up, and then Enkidu fights things.
Yeah, Enkidu also fights things.
And that's the whole episode.
Yeah, that's it.
And Enkidu's like, yeah, hi, I'm Enkidu, and I'm here to help bring you to Uruk.
Hey guys, this is Uruk. There's a large wall and lots of monsters.
Yeah.
Let's go around, shall we?
This is the absolute demonic front, Babylonia. Look at all those absolute units down there at the absolute demonic front.
Title card. And then episode 2, we get a teaser of Merlin, but everyone fucking knows it's Merlin because everyone knows what Merlin looks like.
Yeah, because he has popped up in other stuff since then.
Yes.
He is Dick Wizard.
He is the biggest dick wizard.
And then the next episode, they're traveling with Enkidu, and he's dropping exposition on them.
And then Merlin shows up.
And he's just like, oh, hey, what are you guys doing here? We're lost. We're looking for a way back to Uruk.
How convenient.
Who are you guys? And they introduce themselves like, I'm Mosh. I'm a Fujimura Ritsuko.
Yeah.
Whatever his fucking name is.
I'm main character.
Yeah. I'm main character, and I'm Enkidu. Oh, that's pretty weird. Enkidu is dead already, so who the fuck are you?
So that's kind of weird, isn't it?
And then they get into a kind of neat fight where Anna and Enkidu fight.
Yeah. And Mosh joins in a little bit too.
Yeah, but Mosh is Mosh.
Yeah. But it's cool.
And Merlin had him an illusion halfway through, which is how they escape.
Yeah, because Merlin is a smarmy scoundrel piece of shit.
And then after he introduces himself as Merlin, and Romani's just like, the fuck?
Which, I mean, okay, I know he's the main character is supposed to be like the self-insert bland title character. I can't get down with that, because if I was just walking through the woods and this fucking dude was like, yeah, I'm Merlin, I would lose my mind. I would be in Romani's shoes.
Yeah, also, the reason Romani is like, excuse me, is because the only people that can be summoned as heroic spirits are dead people. Merlin, in Arthurian legend, never died.
Yeah.
In the actual legend, he's stuck inside a tree, but because that's not as cool.
Yeah, that doesn't make a cool noble phantasm.
They stuck him, instead he's stuck inside a tower.
Yeah, he watches everything from inside his tower.
And yeah, Grandcasters all have the ability to basically, like, major clairvoyance, where Solomon can see into the past and the future, Gilgamesh can see into the future, and Merlin can see everywhere in the present.
Yeah, so basically Romani is like, guys, you got the shittiest Grandcaster.
He can see everything that is happening currently.
He can see all of the stuff that's going on right now. Which, you know what? That still seems kind of useful.
I mean, yeah, it is. Also, considering that he is forever stuck in a tower, and that he can't leave, at least he can just kind of, like, tune in and watch everything.
Yeah. And he also reveals, I've been watching you guys up to this point. But then everyone's like, hold on, since you're not dead, how'd you get summoned?
But since this is the era of gods, this is before he was born, so technically he's not alive right now.
Yes.
And he was summoned by Gilgamesh, who is still alive at this point, and Gilgamesh is his master.
Yeah. Another series, or another singularity in the Fate game where we get, this is a legendary hero who is just a real big badass. Just alive. You get to hang out with him.
Yeah, because you have Nero is alive during Septum. Who else is alive?
Bedivere.
Bedivere,
the greatest I'm actually a living person reveal.
Yeah, Betty's my dude.
Series. Bedivere is great. But then they go to Uruk, and they're like, hey, it's lively, cool. And then...
Oh, and we get to see the Ishtar Gate, which is cool. Because that's an actual thing that existed. That big blue gate. Except time period wise, that did not exist that early.
Well, we'll chalk it up to it being a singularity.
Actually, technically, the Ishtar Gate wasn't even during Babylon. It was during Neo Babylon, which was a lot after.
We'll chalk it up to it being a singularity, and the fact that Ishtar is actually just walking around. We'll just kind of say that, yeah.
That's not when it was invented. They do have good attention to detail, at least in like terms of Mesopotamia. Like, for example, the necklace he has, where it has like, you know how it's like a little cylinder.
Yeah.
Everyone back in Mesopotamia would wear like sort of necklaces like that, and a lot of them had printed on them like stories. The idea was you take it and you roll it across like a piece of clay, and it actually, like, you know, when it's all the way like spread out, actually tells like a little story in pictures.
That's very smart.
Yeah.
The ancient Mesopotamians were clever folks.
They built those big ziggurats.
They built the ziggurat. But then they go and they meet Gilgamesh. And Gilgamesh is like, fight me, because this is a phone game.
Yeah, and you got to have the fight.
Yeah, so we've had too much exposition, so now we need to have a gameplay segment. So fight me.
And that's what's going to happen next week, except instead he has to do it with just Mosh. Whereas in the phone game, I just stuck Ozymandias in front of him and nuked him.
Yeah, me too.
It's like, oh, I'm fighting a caster boss. Ozzy, just kill him.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss Ozymandias, my best friend, through all of my caster-based phone game missions.
Well, don't worry, because he's gonna be in the Camelot movies.
Yeah, I am looking forward to that.
I am too.
So yeah, it's phone game shit.
Now.
What's the best time of your life? Is it high school?
The new shit. What did we take? What did madmen like us take? Give you a little hint. We didn't take that much isekai, even though there's a lot this season, because a lot of it's bad.
A lot of it's not very good.
A lot of it's really bad.
But a lot of the stuff that's not isekai is pretty decent.
Yeah, everything else we took, we're actually pretty big fans of, like this show. Welcome to Demon High School, Iruma-kun.
A kid gets sold by his parents to a demon.
Yeah, because he's a pushover and he can't. He'll literally do anything for anybody if they ask him.
He can't bring himself to break his new demon grandfather's heart. So now he goes to demon school and risks his life every day.
And at first he's super scary, but then after, when he's like, "Will you please be my grandson?" and he's just like, "Please, I beg of you," and he's like, "Oh, these are the words I can't I can't get away from." He's like, "Fine, I'll do it." And then after, the grandpa turns into like a little egg with like a mustache and a monocle.
Yeah, it's great.
And turns out this big scary like demon lord is actually just, he's like, "Ooh, my grandson. I love having a grandson so much. Ooh."
He's the extra helicopter grandparent.
Yeah.
And Iruma-kun goes to school, and on his first day reads.
Yeah, his grandpa's like, "Hey, just read this."
Yeah. What could possibly go wrong? Turns out that is one of the forbidden ancient spells that he reads.
Yeah, and everyone's blown away by it. Everyone's just shocked and scared, because apparently if you read one word wrong or stutter in any way,
you die.
You die.
That is it.
And they're like, only the bravest of the brave, or someone who was a complete idiot and had no idea what he was doing, would read that.
I know. I can't imagine what one of those he is.
And the guy that was supposed to deliver the speech is pissed off at him. His name is Asmodeus,
the head of class.
And so they decide to fight, but apparently that curse that he read made it so he can't lose his balance all day.
Yep. And his natural ability of being put into dangerous situations and not being hit by things.
I mean, his special power is he can dodge anything.
Yep. And that's not magic or anything. He's just very good at dodging things.
So he's very good at dodging things, and he also can magically not fall down today. So Asmodeus basically keeps throwing fireballs at him, and he just dodges all of them.
And then Asmodeus charges him, and Iruma-kun sees that Asmodeus is going to attack a student, so he grabs him from behind.
And suplexes him. German suplexes him, because it's always the German suplex.
It was the perfect German suplex.
Since he can't fall, he's like, we're both going to fall, but since he can't fall, he just does the suplex.
And then everyone thinks he's super cool, and Asmodeus is like, I am now your servant forever.
Because by demon law, if another demon beats you in a duel, you become his servant.
Okay.
I will and not only is he just his servant, like, begrudgingly, he now, like, kisses the ground he walks on.
Yeah, he is super into it.
Yeah.
He is okay.
Hard sub. And then in the next episode, it's it's familiar summoning day.
Yeah. So Iruma-kun goes to school. He's gonna summon a familiar somehow.
And the teacher there is like super just pissed off at him. He's like, because I guess he hates the grandpa. He's like, that guy's made my life a living nightmare here.
He docked my pay once for no reason.
If his grandson does one thing wrong during this summoning, I'm gonna expel him.
That's a hard fail.
And so he basically has everybody summon their familiar using this little stamp with his sigil on it.
Now, basically the way the ceremony works, you draw a circle around it with your own blood, and then you burn it in a special candle, and then a familiar appears.
Yeah.
Asmodeus gets a freaking a Gorgon snake.
Yeah, so his is super cool, and they're like, you're probably going to summon something even more amazing. And then he's just like, yeah, you know, yeah. And then he goes up there and he's like, wait a second. I'm a human, so I don't have any magic. That means I'll probably fail this, and then I'll get expelled, and I won't have to worry about coming here.
That's great.
And so he just all happily smiles and does it, and they're like, look at that smile on his face.
He's so confident.
And because humans, when they summon things, make pacts with demons, and because the sigil is the teacher's sigil,
he summons his teacher
as his familiar. It starts out like his upper half, like there's a portal, so his legs are standing over on one side, and his upper half is appearing at the altar.
Pull me down.
He's like, no, you're supposed to push in this situation.
Ah!
And then he tries to help, like, push him through, and then he pops out, and now he's a little, like, owl. He's a cute little owl.
He's a cute little fuzzy demon owl thing.
And he's, like, worried that everyone's going to be mad, and Asmodeus is like, I am moved beyond words, sir.
A demon that subjugated another demon as his familiar.
You are so incredibly powerful. And then they both try to see if they can get out of the contract, and the grandpa's like, what? No way. It probably would kill both of you if we ended the contract early. You're stuck in that for 1 year. So his teacher is now his familiar.
Yeah. And at the end of the...
I heard of teacher's pet, but never the other way around.
Never student's pet. Whoa! Pew, pew, pew. And then we meet Clara, who is a character that I feel like I will hate.
Yeah. I don't know much about her because she's introduced literally in the last 2 minutes.
She speaks fast, has green hair, and named her feet.
Yes.
Named each foot individually.
Not like as a pair.
No.
But maybe we'll like her. Who knows?
You know what? You never know. You never know until you try.
I thought the scene where he summoned his teacher was actually hilarious.
Because it is.
Because they are both at a loss for words. Also,
no one knows what to do.
They built this guy up as such a tough guy too. He's voiced by Daisuke Ono, who's Jotaro, so he's just got the deepest, toughest voice.
And he gives off this crazy, like, evil aura.
He's like, I'm a no-nonsense demon.
He punches a hole through the cutesy, like, explanation video.
No, it's good.
It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
And you know what was surprisingly fun?
Orisuke.
Are you the only one who loves me?
Do you love me even though I'm a terrible person?
When I first watched this, I wanted to drop it halfway through because it was really generic and boring.
It is a sleeper hit.
That's what they want you to think. It starts out, this guy is boring. He's just the run-of-the-mill. I'm just a really nice anime boy. Oh, that's my childhood friend. Oh, that's the student council president.
Oh, they're beautiful women who are all over me all the time. And they're my friends.
And he goes to he's like, they both want to hang out with me. Oh, and then he goes to hang out with them, and each of them confesses to him that they love his best friend.
In the exact same way.
They have him sit down on a park bench, and he's just like...
Even the lines they use are basically the same. It's great.
And then we find out later when he's back home by himself, he's like, oh man, this sucks. This is so stupid.
This character was supposed to help me get crazy laid.
Yeah, he was pretending. He was merely pretending.
I was merely pretending the whole time.
He was pretending to be the good, honest, just background character boy, and instead is actually just a jaded piece of shit.
Yeah, and then we get to see another day through the eyes of a jaded piece of shit.
Because the first time was like, that's my childhood friend. She's such a great girl. And then the next day is like, that's my childhood friend. Total bitch.
When she's all rubbing up on me, what am I supposed to think? That's just leading me on for her own gains.
And at the end of the first episode, he's sulking in the library when he is approached by...
the evil library girl.
Yeah, the yandere girl with the glasses. And she's like... I think his name's Giorno.
What?
Actually, no, it's not Giorno. It's Joro.
Joro.
Yeah.
That put me off for a second. I was like... Yeah,
Joro. She's like, Joro, would you please have a seat? And he notices she brought a park bench in the library.
She bought one off the internet so she could set it up for just a purpose.
And he's like, no. And he's like, she's just going to tell me she likes my best friend, Sun-chan. That's what it's going to be. That's what it's going to be, right? And she's like, I'm actually in love with someone. You. And he's like, why out of all people? It had to be her.
And he's like, no, I'm not having any of this. And she's like, well, I could tell everybody your secrets. I could tell both of your friends. Actually, no, he's open with both of his female friends that, yeah, I'm going to help both sides. Because his plan is, I'm going to play both sides and pick whichever one doesn't win.
Yeah, and he tells him right away, like, wait, you're helping her too. And he's like, I'm on everybody's side because I'm a good guy.
But he's not. He's a piece of shit.
And she's the only person, Glasses Girl is the only one that knows he's a piece of shit.
And she's going to blackmail him with it.
And she's into that. She doesn't like it when he plays the nice guy.
Yeah.
The way she describes it, because she's holding Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, she's like, I don't want to talk to Jekyll. Let me talk to Hyde.
Yeah. And that's the first one. And then we get another shocking bench scene in episode 2.
Yes, there is a second episode for this where
turns out anytime he tries to help them, they are super inept.
Yeah, they're awful.
The worst.
Like they can't read any any cues from him or anything.
They're awful. But he gets pulled aside by his friend. Oh, both of the whatever. We'll talk about that later. At a further date. We gotta speed through this shit.
We're actually making good time.
We gotta speed through this shit.
We're making good time. I've told you.
I've told you this. We're making good time.
Listen, we're making good time. I've told you.
Potion seller.
Potion seller.
Potion seller.
Potion seller. Listen, you gotta sell me those potions, potion seller.
You can't handle my potions.
Well, I can't handle your potions, potion seller. Listen, I need some of those potions.
My potions would kill you, traveler.
Yeah, what were you going to say about his friend, Sun-chan?
Yeah, his friend pulls him aside.
Oh, and the reason they like him too is because he's a baseball player, and they saw him crying, and they're just like, wow, that's so like.
But they
sensitive.
saw him crying
at the same time, at different corners of like a hallway.
Exactly. And he pulls aside Joro, and he's like, listen, man. There's someone I like. And Joro's like, no, this is not happening.
He's like, have a seat on this bench with me. And he's like, not the bench.
What are you doing here? And he's like, listen, I
fully expected in this scene for him to tell him that he likes Joro.
I was waiting for it. I was so ready for that to take that turn. That would have been amazing.
But yeah, it's even better if anything. He tells him he likes the Glasses girl, the one that likes Joro, and he's just like,
because after he left from crying in a hallway by himself, he left by the south exit where he ran into Library Girl.
And she said some encouraging words to him that apparently really stuck with him.
I guess so. And Joro is like, fuck. I gotta figure out how to do this.
And he ends up having a conversation to see if he can push Glasses Girl onto him.
Doesn't work.
She actually gets kind of pissed off about that because, of course...
She doesn't like him.
He's like, hey, I know you like me, but you should totally get with this guy.
No.
And then she leaves for a bit, and she's like, all right, yeah, to just not blow your cover, you don't have to come to the library this week, but you have to come starting next Monday. And in that time period, everything falls apart with his whole plan for the two girls that he was trying to help.
Turns out he was trying to give some encouraging words to Sun-Chan because he thought he was talking about baseball, because he's like, man, Sun-Chan really likes baseball.
Which
turns out it was an analogy.
Yeah, and he, through that analogy, told him, like, you should rely on your friends. So he went and asked the two girls that like him to help him get with a different girl.
Yes, and they did not take that kindly. So now he's in the doghouse with both of them, and he has to go back to the library to speak with Library Girl when the door opens. Who's standing at the door, Alex?
It's fucking all of them.
Yeah.
They all walk in, they're like, what? What are you doing here, Joro? And he's like, this couldn't get any worse. See you next week.
Yeah, and I am very sure that Glasses Girl set this up.
Yeah. And I can't really we'll remember their names as time goes on. I remember the pink-haired girl's name is Cosmos.
Yeah.
And I think Glasses Girl, her nickname is Pansy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't remember Childhood Friend.
Me neither. I am in Cosmos camp.
Really? Oh, I did like the part where she's like, she's like fucking up her conversation and acting like an old samurai.
Oh yeah, she's repeating everything like in the prose of an old samurai from the stories.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's because she's got them thick thighs with many C's, but also that scene. But also that scene is very good. I do enjoy the shit out of that.
Yeah. No, yeah, she's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't know who my favorite is yet.
I never go for best friend character. I don't know why. It's just never been my thing.
Her specifically too. I don't know. I don't really like her.
Yeah.
But we have other people in the theme song that we haven't met yet.
Yeah, you never know.
We have to make the web even more tangled.
Oh my god, I cannot wait for that. I cannot wait for this web of shit to just get so much more tangled.
What a wicked web we weave.
Oh, yes. How delightfully different.
Oh, yes. How dreadful.
These are sound bites that will be on the internet.
Don't worry, we don't have a viewer base that would do anything with them yet.
Probably not. Hey, listen. Didn't I say to make my abilities average in the next life?
Didn't I request for mediocrity in my reincarnation?
That's the thing. She did, but
she didn't word it carefully enough.
Yeah, it's the faded, the genie's double standard.
So this is, I guess this is our well, we have two comfy shows, but like this is like a comfy isekai so far.
It's an isekai.
It's an isekai.
It's a comfy isekai, okay?
Yeah, it's a comfy isekai.
Basically, we come into our main character's journey after she's entered like the second leg. She has already done the saving the country thing.
She is she in her regular life was the like top of the class student back when she was in Japan, and she didn't really have any friends because she was so perfect and unapproachable.
But then,
which is kind of on her.
Yeah.
Just go talk to people.
Just go talk to people, man.
And so she saw Truck-kun going out for a stroll one day and decided to jump in front of him.
The fated isekai Truck-kun.
Yeah. Because she's well aware of the tropes, at least in the show. She's like,
yeah.
I'm one of those isekai protagonists. It's really embarrassing.
I love how into everything she is. She knows all the tropes. She knows all like the stereotypical villain and hero characters.
Yeah, and she ends up going to this town, I think, to go to school there.
Yeah, because basically she ascends to royalty in another country, but she's like, all right, now to move on to the next part, where I go to adventurer school.
And she meets a couple of wacky characters around town there who are going to become our main cast.
A slightly gender-ambiguous night woman named... Yes. No, hers begins with M.
I don't remember her name.
Mavis.
Mavis, yeah. She calls her Sir Knight.
Yeah.
Or Lady Sir.
Yeah, Lady Sir.
And then some tsundere mage girl.
Crimson Reina. And she actually like, hey, you're the tsundere character. And then she's like, oh shit, you wouldn't know what that means.
Yeah, you don't know what that means. She's like, excuse me?
And then...
some other girl.
Who's nice. The support character.
Yeah. And she finds out that people are getting kidnapped and or going missing, young children.
Oh no.
And she ends up investigating, and she runs into Mavis, and they decide to work together after fighting the most generic bandits.
Yeah, I do love how she goes into the
one
alleyway.
guy's like licking his blade.
That's the second crew.
Oh.
The first one is like she goes into the dark alleyway and literally immediately is beset upon by two goons.
And it's like that was fast.
She watches Mavis fight for a little bit before she's like, "Oh yeah, shit, I should do something, shouldn't I?"
And then just instantly like puts him to sleep.
And then they go to the warehouse.
And then these two dudes look like they're straight out of Mad Max. And one's like talking as he's licking his weapon because he's the crazy bad guy. He's licking his sword.
Constantly. And I do love how he's talking like he's actually speaking like someone would when they're licking it instead of just sounding normal.
Yeah.
It's a nice little touch.
And then they beat them up. They go inside, and then
Crimson Reina shows up and torches the shit out of those dudes.
And then they go inside, find all the children, and the support girl, who's just kind of like, yeah, I promised to come help them and like take care of the children. And they were like, yeah, totally.
I saw them abducting the children, so I offered to watch over them for them because it seemed hard. And then
the real bad guy shows up, and it turns out it was this woman who's just a lolicon.
Yeah, and she just is a lolicon.
So that's why she just wanted to kidnap young girls and admire them. She wasn't going to do anything. She just wanted to admire them.
Nothing undecent.
Yeah.
Nothing indecent.
And the joke is that the main character looks like a child.
Yeah. I do like how her goons are, like, she's describing the goal of her plans.
And her goons are just like
but she calls the main character flat. Oh, the main character's name is Maine, by the way.
Mine.
It's spelled Maine, though.
But they say mine.
Because they're Japanese.
Mine.
She calls mine flat, and mine torches the shit out of all. She just nukes them.
And it scares everybody that was in her party, and she runs away like, I did it again. Kind of like my friend Nick when we went drinking up at camp, and he was just like, I did it again. Now everyone saw me drunk.
Oh no.
But she torches the shit out of him, and we find out from the narrator that she requested to be average in the next world she goes to, and the strongest creature in that world is an elder dragon. So by being average, she would have to be half as strong as an elder dragon.
Which is still 6,300 times stronger than the average human being.
So she is not average at all. Well, she is average, but not for humans.
She is technically average.
Yeah.
And then next day she goes to hunter school, and oh no, who
all
are
her
roommates?
Teammates? Her roommates are the girls that she was with the other night.
Bam and again.
And that's the isekai, the only one we're watching.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's fine. It's decent. I like it.
I enjoy it. I like isekai protagonists that know they're in an isekai.
Isekai has been going so long, I feel like they all just know the tropes.
Yeah.
Because I feel like if you try to play it straight now, you're probably going to lose people, because it's like a character like, what? I'm in another world? What is this?
Just wait for the super,
what? There's a menu? This is just like a video game.
Just wait for the super like politics heavy one that's gonna come out where the main character, instead of being a super powerful hero, has to become like super embroiled in politics.
There is.
Holy
I saw
shit.
it like some manga about like an isekai series about a lawyer that goes to another world or something.
Oh my god.
Where he has to like do like law in like a fantasy setting or something.
I love
it exists. It's either a manga or a light novel.
I love it. I love it a lot.
But one day it'll get an adaptation probably.
If you were to be a man who killed people for money, an assassin, one might say.
You mean an assassin?
An assin. Not a hassin, but an assin.
Assassin's Pride.
Yeah, I didn't really have a good one, but I kind of figured that in and of itself would be a bit.
So this dude's anime as shit where he can like, deflect bullets with his sword.
Yeah, he's the most anime protagonist ever.
He's like doing weird flips and shit. He's like, oh, nothing personnel, kid.
Nothing personnel, kid.
And he's an assassin, so he already has the edgiest job in fiction.
And he wears all black.
Yeah.
And he has black hair.
And it's a trench coat.
And it's a trench coat. And he wears his sword on his back.
He looks kind of Kirito-like, to be honest.
He really does. But I like him more than Kirito.
That's not hard to do. It's
not a high bar. I liked Mine more than Kirito. And not the good Mine from this season, I mean Bitch.
Bitch was a good villain.
She was a very good villain. But anyway, he's got a mission.
Yeah, so he shows up at this manor of this noble lady, and this young girl is essentially going to this school, and he's there under the pretense of being her magic instructor.
Because she needs to manifest her mana. Otherwise, she won't be accepted as a legitimate heir, and his job is to kill her then.
Yeah, because her dad turns out is like, all right, if she can't do mana, or she can't do any magic, just kill her.
Yeah, just fucking kill her. That means she's illegitimate, so we don't want her.
He follows her to school, and she's getting bullied by this girl for not being able to use magic, and he just kind of watches.
He just kind of watches and sees.
And apparently her dream is to be part of, like, this group of, like, magic knights or something that her cousin's gonna join, and she's all jealous.
Yeah. And the visual for the city, I would say, is Full Metal Alchemist-esque.
Everyone lives in lanterns, like these giant glass lanterns.
Yeah.
Because apparently there's these monsters called lycanthropes.
No, there's something else. Because lycanthropes is a real thing.
Yeah, I thought it was lycanthropes.
No, it's literally like 2 letters off. It is something very, very, very slightly different. Because I remember making jokes about it when I watched it. I was like, oh, any relation to the lycanthropes that turn into werewolves?
Yeah, I just saw like that. I'm like, oh, the werewolf monsters.
The mind's autocorrect is very strong.
So he ends up deciding, well, time for me to kill her.
Yep. Time to take the ultimate mercy, because she's only got a hard trip ahead of her.
And it's called Assassin's Pride because that's like, I don't know, the thing, like they're granting mercy. He's granting mercy to her in his mind because she's almost too pathetic to let live.
Whatever he's got to do to justify murdering this child.
And he realizes she's not in her room, and she is running out fighting basically what I consider to be gotcha monsters.
Yeah,
like,
they are.
They are like every gotcha game that has a Halloween event, that's what you fight. I've played several gotcha games, several Halloween events. You fight weird pumpkin things with witch hats.
Yeah, it is literally something torn out of like the most recent Fate Go event.
Actually, I think I fought those specific things in like Review Starlight.
They also look like stuff you would find in like the Halloween world in Kingdom Hearts,
or like just any MMO event.
They are surprisingly
any Asian
generic.
MMO. Yeah, they're, and she's getting the shit kicked out of her by them, and they're gonna like cut her hair, and she's just like, no, my mom gave me that blonde hair.
It's not like it'll grow back or anything.
And he thinks about how she's been doing this all on her own. So far, she has no one to turn to, and he feels sympathy. So he decides...
Much simpy.
He feels much simpy. So he goes and he kills the things, and he decides to... He's like, hey, there's a way I can give you magic but you might die. It's not guaranteed. Are you willing to stake your life on it?
And she says yes, because of course she says yes. Why would she say no?
And I don't know what specifically he did. I feel like he probably gave her some of his.
Probably. It's in the form
My little lady.
Yeah, I didn't like that. That made me feel a little uncomfortable.
Yeah, so he drinks this thing and then, like, kisses her to get it inside her. So, like, this is like probably like a 17-year-old kissing a 13-year-old.
Yeah. And it's painful.
His little lady.
No, do not do that again, please.
With his English.
Stop. Yeah, but it works.
Now she can do magic. And apparently he's now gonna kind of basically force her into the role of the successor. Otherwise, they're both dead.
He needs to keep it a secret from literally everybody that he did that and that he's supporting her. Or else, as stated, they will both be killed. Which I think is kind of an interesting looming threat.
Yeah. So he's staking his future on her just as she is on him.
Yes.
His little lady.
Nope, we're not doing that again. Veto.
I wonder how much he's going to do that.
I hope not. I hope never.
But yeah, it was better than expected. It looks really generic because, again, the guy looks like Kirito.
It does. It does have a pretty generic vibe to it. But the story itself is fairly interesting.
I feel like now new character design rule is just don't make your guy look like Kirito. And, you know, it's 10 times more appealing.
Yeah, because his design is awful. Africa Salaryman.
This is my shit. This was so much better than expected. And this is like the show with a budget of like a ham sandwich.
I think we could probably fund this show. I feel like we could if we really wanted to.
I feel like this show is within our budget.
It is very cheap.
It's like it's 3D models without very much polishing on them.
Yeah, and it's anthropomorphized animals.
Basically, imagine if animal people
were people.
Yeah, we're people, and they worked office jobs.
Yeah.
Salaryman. We have three main characters. We have Big Cat, or Senpai, who is...
Senpai.
It was Senpai?
Yeah.
Because he's a toucan.
Yeah.
We have Senpai, who is he's the older manager of the team.
And he's a lion.
Yeah, he's a big lion voiced by Iskandar.
Yeah, it's great.
And then we have Lizard,
who is voiced by Mao-sama, a show we watched last season.
Or Seto Kaiba, I think is it's his most famous character.
Yeah.
And then Toucan,
who is voiced by Zenitsu of Demon Slayer fame.
Yeah, his voice works way better for this character.
It really does.
He is a shitbag.
Toucan is a piece of garbage.
He has everything wrong with society.
Toucan plays his Switch at work instead of working.
Toucan probably does a lot of stuff instead of work.
Yeah, he kind of does.
So the whole gimmick of this show is it's office comedy just with animal people.
Yeah.
But the characters they set up are really good, and it's a lot of small bits. Like the first bit is we probably won't remember all of them, but the first bit is the Big Cat's going to work, and he's wondering why Lizard is all covered in blood, and he's like, what happened to you guys? It's like, well, we took the train today because Toucan's Lexus was in the shop, because it shows he's like, yeah, I love driving to work and just screaming at people, curse words, giving people the finger. It's like, it's a real high.
And Big Cat's like, Toucan, that's a social problem. You shouldn't do that.
He's like, but anyway, I took the train, and while they're on the train, he was just like, man, I wish I was like some high school girl that could like get money for saying that I got groped.
And then some high school girls show up and accuse them of groping them.
Or they accuse Toucan.
Yeah, they accuse Toucan specifically.
And Lizard tries to like come to his defense, and he's just like, listen, that man would never do that. Look at this. And he pulls out his phone, and it has like some like cow on it. And he's just like, high schoolers don't do anything for this guy. This guy only gets off to real professional MILFs.
Only a real MILF can do the job for this guy.
And he's like, can you not tell everyone on the train my fetishes?
But also, thank you for coming to my aid.
And apparently their way to get out of situations is Toucan just rips off Lizard's tail.
Yeah, he rips off Lizard's tail, spreads blood everywhere, and then Lizard's tail just regrows.
Yeah, because lizards do that.
Yeah. And there's another short bit where Toucan goes to a mixer. And
it's at the end of the day at the office, and they're all like, he's like, hey, why don't we go out and hang out later or something? He's just like, nah, anyway, I'm going to take off. It's like, hey, we're in the middle of a conversation. He's like, well, it's past work hours, so you legally can't keep me here. And I'm going to a mixer, and it's totally not cool to be late. So, ciao. And then he jumps back and slides out the door.
Yeah.
And then Big Cat's like, hey, well, how about you and me, Lizard, go out to get drinks? He's like, oh, I'm actually going to see the wife tonight, but yeah, so ciao. And he slides out.
And then Big Cat's like, oh, okay.
And then Toucan's mixer is the next really central thing.
Yeah.
And so he's there with a bunch of other toucans, and they're all salarymen because they're all in the business suits.
Of course they are.
And they're meeting with a bunch of different animal girls. And
Cute college girls.
And the one he hangs out with is a pig. That's who he's set up with.
Yeah.
And she's just like in all the food.
She is a literal pig. Like, in mannerism and at all.
And he hears that the pig lady's actually rich, so he's trying to stay on her good side, even though she's just disgusting.
Yeah, she ruins one of his hankies, and she gets food all over his nice suit.
And then by the end of it, he's like, they're all exchanging numbers, and he's like, hey, can I get your number? And they're like, what are you doing?
What the fuck?
He's like, I'm trying to get this nice young lady's number.
No, that's her pet. She couldn't be here today, so she sent her pet pig.
And then he loses it because he was basically nice for no reason. Because the whole inside he was like snapping, but he's like, nope, I'm doing it for the money. Do it for the money.
I need to be set for life.
Yeah, and turns out this world works off of like Goofy and Pluto logic, where some animals are animals and some people animals are animal people.
Yeah, don't think about it too hard. It's for the bit.
Yeah, and then after it cuts to him telling that story at work, and Lizard's like, amazing. During no point in that story did I feel any sympathy for you.
Lizard is great. I love him. And there's, I think the final one is where Toucan is like, hey, Big Cat's he's off today. He seems a little upset. And they go through like all the bad shit that Toucan does to him.
Yeah, because they see like him scowling while he's looking down at his work. So they're like, oh, he's probably pissed.
And Toucan, Toucan does a lot of bad stuff to him. He eats a specialty ham that was given to him by a client.
Turns out Toucan knows how to deal with a Big Cat by just he gives him like either catnip or like he does that little like scratcher thing on him.
Yeah.
And the guy's like, even though he's this big older man, he's just like, oh.
He is still a cat.
And they think he's pissed. He's like, no, he's probably mad at you, Lizard, because you broke his favorite mug that one time.
And then they go through the reenactment, and Lizard goes to get his boss some tea.
It's not even his fault. It's Toucan's fault. And
Toucan walks into the room like, yeah, let's just start dancing. And he knocks it out of his hands.
He's like, that was partially your fault. And he's like, how could you blame me for that? You can't take any responsibility. Shameful. How shameful of you.
Whatever.
Because Toucan's a piece of shit.
Yeah.
And then after, when he goes over, he's just like, hey, senpai, what's wrong? He's like, Toucan, can you read this word? And it says, like, kill or something.
It's you're dead.
Oh, yeah. And they both start freaking out and, like, bowing for forgiveness. He's like, yeah, I just really couldn't read it because my eyes have been real bad lately.
Yeah, lately my eyes have been bad. I think I need glasses so I can't read stuff. Bam, ba-dam, bam, bam.
It's good shit. It's a funny show.
It is. The comedic timing and just the bits in general are very well written. And I like the characters.
I do too. I like all of these characters that move at like 2 frames per second. Just 2 fucking frames.
It's real.
It's very stiff.
Yeah, but it works.
And it has a really nice ED.
It does. It's very cozy, comfy.
Yeah,
I like it.
Just a little just them at the office, just doing their day-to-day thing.
Toucan doing whatever he can to not work.
Sleeping on the table.
I like how there's one shot where he pulls out his switch and Lizard moves across the room to do another
I was gonna
computer.
say, he goes to work on another side of the office to get away from him.
Yeah. But this one's good. I'm expecting good things.
They go on a lot of snack runs.
They do. They really do.
Although I guess if you live at the office, essentially, you
might as well. No guns.
After school dice club.
No club for old men.
After school dice club. Comfy girls playing board games.
Board games.
So I think her is it Miku or Miki?
Miki.
Yeah. Right. So the main character Miki, she
can't have fun.
She can't have fun.
She doesn't know how.
She has no hobbies. She just sits with her headphones on and just looks out the window and just goes, ah.
I know. It's like I was back in high school again. It was weird.
You had hobbies. You had hobbies. You don't get to pretend. You don't get to pretend you were like, yeah, I got nothing going on.
Smoking pot is not a hobby. But she's glum. She is glum and she doesn't know how to have fun. And then...
New girl transfers in.
Genki girl.
Yeah.
We got our Genki girl of the season.
And they are in Kyoto, and it looks very nice because they do the spots. Kyoto's a nice city.
Kyoto is a nice city. Let's steal Kyoto.
Let's shoot the podcast in Kyoto.
Just on the street. Just boom. We're trying to record. Could you be a little more quiet?
That's the isekai truck. Ah!
Oh no, it's off the road. And then we get isekai'd into our podcast.
But we still do the podcast in another world. So in another world, but we still have to do our podcast.
We have to go through different worlds doing our episode in each world.
But yeah, they do cool board game stuff in this show. At first, Miki doesn't have anything to do, and she lives a very I don't do anything. First of all, she's like, I don't have any hobbies, but I'm just going to go straight home and not even try to do anything.
Yeah.
But then this girl shows up, and she's just like, hey, I just moved here. Want to get lost together?
Yeah, let's just go wander around in the woods.
And she's like, she's like, hey, do you know your way around? She's like, I lived here all my life, but I don't really kind of go anywhere, so I don't know my way around my own town.
Yeah. So they go and they get lost and they have a very good time.
And they end up seeing their student council president or class rep. Yeah, she's not.
What's the class rep doing out here at night?
Yeah, she's not supposed, we're not supposed to be in this area past 6 p.m.
Is she a hostess?
Yeah, they think she's doing something illicit, but then they find out she has a part-time job, which she got permission from the school for.
Because of course she did. She's very rules-oriented.
At a board game store.
Yep.
And the manager, of course, is this big buff dude with sunglasses. And at first he's like, what are you girls doing here? And then they freak out and he's like, she's like, I'm just asking questions. And she's like, manager, you can't do that. You can't just go up behind people.
You can't just, manager, you gotta stop. Your customer manner is gonna scare everyone off.
And they end up,
hey, why don't you play a board game with your friends? Because we don't have any business in this store.
Clearly.
It's
so the manager can just take time off. Like, they can all just take time off and play a board game in the back.
For basically the rest of the night.
Yeah, they play for a couple of hours.
Yeah. But they play a board game called Marrakech.
And I think these are real games.
I believe they are as well. I saw one in particular jumped out at me in the bookstore, but I can't remember what it was.
And it made me think we should play actual board games sometimes.
We should.
But yeah, it looks like a neat game where it's all about essentially placing your more rug pieces on the map to get other players to land on it, so they have to pay you money.
Yeah.
It's like Monopoly, but not...
With rugs.
Yeah, Monopoly with rugs.
And at first, class rep is like, I'm not going to do that. I'm at work. And manager is like, fine, but I'll let you girls know now. I don't lose to anybody.
And I don't take it easy.
I don't go easy on anybody.
And then she notices, for some reason, Miki is getting really stressed out at this. Like,
she's having a hard time.
So the class rep decides to help her out, and they become a team.
And then they become the best of friends.
And then they win.
And then they
beat the manager.
They beat their manager to death. Turns out Marrakech is a death board game.
No, they end up winning, and they decide, hey, board games are fun. And she's like, can we do this again? She's like, well, you're not supposed to be here past 6 o'clock, but at certain other points in the week, maybe.
On weekends and holidays.
Because they still haven't formed a club yet. But they're going to do that because club is in the title.
They goddamn better form a club. Otherwise, I will sue them for false advertising.
Yeah, just like Rascal Does Not Dream of Bunny Girl Senpai. One episode.
Yeah, exactly.
It's more of like, she's more of Schrodinger's cat senpai.
She's Schrodinger's bunny senpai.
Schrodinger's bunny senpai.
I was snicking.
The
second episode.
Yeah, there's a boy in the class,
and he likes New Girl.
Yeah, because she was nice to him,
and she's cute.
Turns out, and this is an actual true thing, you want a guy to take interest in you, just be nice to him. And he will think about it for a long period of time.
You know what? As a guy, 10 out of 10 can recommend. Be nice to other people.
Be careful, though, because some people take that the wrong way.
Yeah, that's true. Just a little piece of advice from your old friends at the Protagonist seat.
A little bit of advice from the podcast.
The podcast.
Yeah, so they end up deciding to... He wants to talk to her, but he can't because, that shit's hard when you're, like, gonna have to bring up a conversation with someone that you like in front of everybody.
And all of his openers get fucked up in some way.
Yeah, because he tries to approach her, and then other people keep ruining it.
So he basically goes in after class, and he gets cornered, and they're like, hey...
why don't you just play with us?
You want to play this card game with us?
Turns out he's not even childhood friends. They've just been in the same class since childhood with class rep.
Childhood, loose acquaintances.
Childhood classmates.
Yeah. And she's like...
which I kind of get that, because there have been people where I'm like, man, I've known this person since first grade, and I am not their friend, but I'm not, like, unacquainted with them. I just know of them.
Yeah. It's shit that happens.
But yeah, so they end up playing some, like, German card game. It's a lot of German games, apparently, they sell.
Yeah.
Because the Germans, they put together the little toys and the little clocks.
Germans!
Oh, we have here the little cards with the little boards and the little tiny wooden figures.
Oh, look at all of these cute little bugs on these cards. But
we only do two things in Germany. We start wars and we make little toys.
And we make little toys fight the wars with each other. But he...
the nutcracker.
The nutcracker. But he tries to basically keep the girl he likes in the game and doesn't do a very good job at it.
Also, Miki picks up on that he likes her.
Because Miki has good intuition.
Yeah, because she spends all of her time people watching, essentially, that she can read people.
Which means in this game of bluffing, she wrecks face.
Also, Genki Girl is terrible at lying, so she's awful at this game.
Yeah, she loses very hard. And
yeah, it's a game where essentially you just, like, it's about a bunch of pest cards, and if you have to almost lie and get the person to guess the wrong thing. Like, you put the card face down, like, this is a cockroach. And if they're like, that is not a cockroach, and they pick it up and it is a cockroach, you got them. Yeah.
Yeah, you got them.
You got them. If they get 5 of the same bug type or 1 of every type of bug, they lose.
Yes.
So you want to keep getting that person to get cards. Which seems like a fun game.
It does, actually. Both of these games seem very, very interesting.
Yeah. That's the one. In fact, about this show, I remember more the games than I do like any of the plot where I'm like, oh, that seems fun. Good advertisement for this, like, Japanese show advertising German board games.
Yeah. But Genki Girl loses, and she pulls the guy who likes her out into the hallway, and she's like, listen, I know you like class rep.
And he's like, what? He's like, she could not be more off the mark. She's like, yeah, my woman's intuition is telling me.
She's wrong.
Like, don't worry, I'll be supporting you.
And then she's like, hey, you should play more games with us. And he's like, okay.
And then they leave, and then Miki's like, hey, I had fun at school today.
Now I have friends. And
we gotta start a club soon.
Yes, they better start a club soon.
Last show on the list.
No Guns Life.
No Guns, No Life.
No, that's a different show. This one is a cyber-futuristic noir about a man who is a cyborg and has a gun for a head.
Essentially, it's just a cyberpunk. It's got the corporations. It's got the cyber enhancements.
It does have a lot of the feel and trope. It's It's like someone adapted.
It really makes you feel like cyberpunk.
It's this show. The best way I can describe the first episode to an aficionado like myself is that this show, it feels as if someone took a 1950s noir movie and put it in a cyberpunk setting and made the main character look as dumb as fucking possible.
But he's really cool
He's
at the same time.
He's really cool at the same time.
His name is Juzo?
It is Juzo, but he is known as Resolver.
He has a revolver for a head, but people call him Resolver because he's like a PI and he solves like crimes and shit.
Because basically in this world, there's a big corporation that sells people robotic bits, and the people who have the robotic bits are known as the Extended. And he kind of works on the street in the seedy underbelly to solve their problems and shit.
Because it's a cyberpunk.
Because of course. And he does some
I noticed
cool stuff.
too, he kind of, every time like he's embarrassed or flustered, his design sort of changes to like sort of a more simple art style, which reminds me of Alphonse from Fullmetal Alchemist.
That's what I was thinking too, because it looks exactly like when Alphonse gets embarrassed.
Because it makes it like look like that the barrel of his gun's like an eye, like he's like a cyclops.
Yeah.
He smokes a lot too
constantly. And you know what? He's a cyborg, so it probably doesn't even matter.
But it's a cyberpunk, so you gotta smoke.
It's also a noir,
so you gotta smoke.
I don't recall seeing anyone else smoke in the entire episode. I think it's just him. But
yeah, so he ends up going back to his office after hearing about some series of murders and
I love the scene where he's in the back of the crowd and it's all just like people, and then this dude in the back with a fucking gun for a head.
Yeah.
It's great.
And they're like, "Oh, who's that?" And like, "Don't worry about him. That's Resolver.
He'll solve it." But he goes back to his office and surprise, surprise, there's a giant fucking robot there that's holding a kid.
And the kid's unconscious, and he's like, "Listen," he's like, "I'm gonna call the police." And he's like, "No, don't call the police." He's like,
"Knock, knock, this is the police.
I'm not letting them take me back there." Or no, it's not even the police. It's like the corporation.
Yeah, they have a peace force or something.
Yeah, because it's a cyberpunk, so of course the corporations have too much power.
Yeah.
So he opens the door, but he ends up like scaring the guy off and doesn't let him. He's like, it's illegal to harbor a fugitive. And he's like, "Yeah, it is." He's like, "And if I was, what would stop me from breaking a few more laws anyway? Because they disassemble me anyway."
Yeah, he's great. Juzo is a great protagonist.
Yeah, he's voiced by Suabe, and Suabe's
Suabe's very good.
He has a good voice.
Suabe!
And he ends up deciding to help the kid the robot, because the robot's like, "Listen," he's like, "this is a job. Protect this kid." He's like, "I'll lure the security away." And they're like, "Okay." And as he's leaving, he ends up at some weird like factory area.
He's taken the kid to a safe house, basically.
And at the safe house appears some nun.
A creepy nun comes out of nowhere.
And he's just like, "What's a sister doing here?" She's like, "That kid escaped was kidnapped from our orphanage, and I'm really glad that you brought him here. So can I have him back now, please?"
Wow, that's real brave of you, a nun, to come to the seedy underbelly of the city by yourself. Huh.
And he's like, "Also, this kid's tendons have been cut."
Yeah, something's hinky with your orphanage. And she's like, "I guess I gotta kill you now."
And then she takes off the nun thing, and she's got big boobs, and she was wearing all leather.
Yeah, because of course she is.
And then you find out Juzo is made of like an old model that was used in a previous war, and he is technically really underpowered without someone to pull the trigger on the back of his head.
Yeah.
But he doesn't trust anyone, so he has no one to pull the trigger.
I will get to that scene later because I love it, and I have very specific thoughts about it.
Yeah, they end up fighting, and she ends up shooting at him, and he's got a really cool thing where you can almost shoot out of his knuckles.
Yeah, because he has a cylinder on his hands.
Yeah. And so he ends up trying to save the robot that's also there, and she ends up shooting Juzo and the robot, and they fall into the
sewers.
Yeah, the sewers below, and she takes the kid.
And then Juzo wakes up in the sewers and speaks to the robot, even though it's received like catastrophic damage.
But the robot, turns out, is hollow on the inside. There's, like, no organs or anything, so it's not like a cyborg. And it turns out the kid is actually, he's got, like, psychic powers or something, and he was possessing the robot.
Yeah, the kid was given some kind of cybernetic enhancement, which allowed him to control extended things from a distance.
And Juzo decides that, because the kid's like, yeah, it was probably like a fantasy to believe I could ever escape the corporation.
And Juzo is like, well, I said I would help him, so now I'm gonna go help him.
And he goes and he stops the train with his fists.
Yeah, it's great.
Because they're out escaping on a train, and it ends on that, so...
Is great.
That is pretty cool. And we see in the opening that the bad guy looks like it, the main bad guy looks like it's an evil Juzo.
Yeah.
Another revolver head.
Yeah.
But it's really cool.
This is a good series. It is a good noir series as well as a good cyberpunk series. So far, we are only on episode 1.
Yeah. Anything could happen.
The thing that really cemented the fact that a lot of character tropes are just straight up stolen from noir movies.
Yeah.
Like Juzo is the stereotypical noir protagonist.
He even has a noir office.
He does. But the one scene where he throws the tufts out of his friend's bar is, I would swear, that is almost literally stolen, plagiarized from an old noir movie. Because he throws the dudes out, and then the bartender woman walks out and reaches for his, the hand grip on the back of his head, and he's like, whoa, what are you doing? And she says to him, I wanted to see if it was true that your only weakness was the trigger on the back of your head. And he looks at her and he says, the only person I would let pull my trigger is someone I really trusted, and I don't intend on trusting anybody. Like, bruh, you stole that. I know you stole that. You just adapted it for having a man with a gun on his head.
The best works are just stolen works that are repurposed.
Exactly. And you know what? I like it. I like this show so far.
It's good shit.
Hey, if you think our podcast is good shit,
yeah,
then like the video and subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, hit the like button, ring that bell, all that shit.
Make sure you follow us on our social medias, both Twitter and Facebook.
At Protagonist Seat.
And also, starting this season, we are going to be distributed on via Libsyn, Liberated Syndication. So you can find us on the Libsyn website. You can find us on Spotify, Google Play Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Deezer, a whole bunch of good shit like that.
Yeah, so you don't have to, like, be stuck listening to us on, like, one platform. You can actually listen to us on stuff you're supposed to listen to podcasts on.
I know, right?
Amazing.
We have ascended.
Incredible.
Amazing.
Oh, how wonderful.
But this episode...
Yeah, it's gone on way too long.
Yes.
So if you like us, check us out on there. Next week will be a lot shorter, we promise. And if things start sucking, we'll start killing them, and it'll get even shorter.
Exactly.
So
stick around for that.
I'm Alex, that's Ian, and we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.